evening, everybody. Welcome to our regular meeting. First of all, we'd like to begin by acknowledging that we are in Robinson Superior Treaty Territory and that the land on which we gather is the traditional territory of the Anishinaabe and the Métis. We have approval of the agenda. Is there any disclosures of interest? Hearing none, we have no delegations tonight. And question period.
No questions.
No questions from. Okay, we'll start with minutes of the previous meetings. Resolution 316-22. Moved by Councilor Morrow, seconded by Councilor McGrath, that the minutes of the Council and Committee of the Whole meeting held November 8th, 2022 be accepted as circulated. Discussion? All those in favor? Carried. Resolution 317-22. Moved by Councilor Morrow, seconded by Councilor Bourgeois, that the minutes of the special council meeting held November 15th, 2022 be accepted as circulated. Discussion?
Moved by Benji.
Seconded by Benji Bryson, that the minutes of the special council meeting held November 15th, 2022 be accepted as circulated. Discussion? All those in favor? Carried. Is there any business arising from the minutes of the November 8th or the November 15th meetings? Committee of the Whole recommendations, we have none. We have no accounts for payment. So we go right into the unfinished business. Resolution 318-22. Moved by Councilor Morrow, seconded by Councilor McGrath, that the students of Lake Superior High School be approved for a grant in the amount of $310.80, excluding applicable taxes, for the use of the community hall on December 2nd, 2022. Discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor? Carried.
Virgil.
Sure. What number was that?
318.
Okay. Resolution 319-22, moved by Councilor Bourgeois, seconded by Councilor McGrath, that council accept the quotation from Global Industries Industrial in the amount of $6,940, excluding applicable taxes and shipping, for the purchase of 80 chairs. Discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor? Carried. Resolution 320-22. Moved by Councillor McGrath, seconded by Councillor Morrow, that council accept the quotation from the Hungry Moose in the amount of $36.23 per person, excluding applicable taxes, to provide dinner for the senior center Christmas social. Discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor? Carried. Resolution 321-22. Moved by Councillor Burgeot, seconded by Councillor Morrow, that council declare the Schreiber Fire Department 2003 Ford F-450 rescue truck as a surplus asset to be disposed of, and that the truck be sold by invited expressions of interest or by listing it for sale with the Ontario Association of Fire Chiefs Used Equipment webpage, and that the funds generated by the sale of the truck be placed in the fire truck reserve. Discussion? All those in favor? Carried. Resolution 322-22. Moved by Councillor Burgeot, seconded by Councillor McGrath. The council authorized the purchase of a used 2006 American LaFrance bumper truck from Dependable Emergency Vehicles in the amount of $95,000, excluding applicable taxes, and that the funds for the purchase come from the fire truck reserve. Discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor? Carried. Resolution 323. Dash 22, moved by Councillor Morrow, seconded by Councillor Bugeaud, that council authorize a donation to the Sick Kids Foundation, the hospital for sick children, in the amount of $50 in memory of Amelia McKay. All those in favor? Carried. So now we're going to go into the committee of the whole portion of the meeting. And number one up is the treasury report, but the budget variance report. No recommendations with this one. Anybody got any questions?
Because I'm new to the position, I had met with our treasurer Marlene and actually went over the report in a lot of detail. So thanks, Marlene, for doing that with me.
No problem.
So of note, especially for people who are watching, our revenues year to date, and this report was for the end of October, are actually less than budgeted. But the bulk of that is all attributed to waiting for year-end building year-end billing from several different agencies, so that by the end of December, once everything is billed through, that we should pretty much be on track for budgeted revenues for the 2022 year. Similarly, expenses year-to-date are also lower than what was budgeted. Some points I think of interest would be that tax write-offs are actually 94% less than what we had budgeted for. So that's good news. Council travel year-to-date was down 82% from what we budgeted. So we're saving money there. Wages across all the departments were lower, but then of course it's an October report, and once November, December wages come through, that should pretty much even itself out and bring that to balance. Some of the expenses could be attributed to really missing or waiting for year-end invoicing. So for things like policing, ambulance, handy transit, aqua, landfill, those were all way under budget, but once the year-end balancing comes through, that'll fix that. Our capital project expense was lower than we had budgeted, but then of course now we're waiting for the loader expense to come through. And once that comes through, that's going to even it off. There's some really good news stories, I think, in these financials. One is that the public works overtime wages were lower than what we had budgeted. Now I know we're coming into winter and we have November, December, but still, to reach that point and still have that much room, I think, is a good news story. As well, the heating fuel for this complex is lower than budgeted, and of course that's because the boilers but we talked about I remember sitting at a meeting when you talked about the expense of a new boiler, that some of that could be written off with heating savings, and I'm telling you, it's going to happen. Not all of it by a long stretch, but a good chunk of it's going to be written off because we haven't had to use it.
Hugely, quickly.
Yeah, it's a huge thing. And both the water and sewer GLs, the electrical power is actually lower than what they had budgeted. So there's more savings to be found there. So I just thought I would share that with you and with the public watching. And again, thank Marlene for all the time she spent giving me a hand to understand these. I don't know if anybody else has any concerns.
No, that's
good. Thanks, Anne Marie.
case. Number 2, second up, Director of Operations report. The overall electric, you haven't got a date on them yet, eh?
Have not received a date yet.
Do they make a couple trips to the, what do you call it, the North Shore tour?
That's what we're waiting for. He's organizing his North Shore tour for this year. He goes to a number of communities along the North Shore, so it's important that we be in that category so that we're not paying the full travel for him. He'll do another one in January to take those Christmas decorations down.
But, I guess my question would be, okay, he's gonna do that, come take would he do another trip, say in May, June?
He definitely would if we paid for the trip. He doesn't, I don't think,
Yeah.
but I could ask.
Yeah, no, the only reason I'm asking, I could be wrong, but I thought it was 4 lights, but this, I believe, is a different company. I thought it was 4 lights and it was worth our while. Or like right now, we got 7?
Yes, we have quite a number of street lights that are out.
Yeah, that's all.
And will he do the street lights at the same time he does the Christmas lights?
That is the plan, yes.
And we want to try and get the Christmas decorations up by the 1st of December. So.
Yeah.
Abby, I had a question on this CLIECA report. Now, it said that the section of sewer owned by the municipality is small. So, and the rest is owned by CP? Does the-
So to be clear, we're talking about storm sewer.
Storm sewer, exactly, yeah, so.
So the storm sewer network is largely owned by the CP and the MTO. The small sections of storm sewer in just a small section of town ties into those major pipes. But yet we still have to have an ECA approval for that because it's running through the municipality.
So if there was any maintenance required on that, it's the responsibility of MTO and CP?
Generally speaking, yes.
Okay, because there was it just ties into, in my opinion, a communication that we received on this agenda. It wasn't dealing with CP, but another railway, we can talk
Right.
about it
Yeah,
later.
yeah,
So that's why I
absolutely.
brought that question.
That's exactly perfectly right.
Yeah.
Okay.
So all you were really talking about here, though, is just to have the map updated at this point.
Yes,
Okay.
we will have to have the map updated and signed by an engineer by 2029. So we have plenty of time
Plenty of
to
time.
do it. It is something that we should not ignore, so it's not forgotten. But that is the plan. Unless we do any kind of modifications or maintenance to the system, then we would only have 12 months to get it updated.
So in your work plan moving forward, that's something you're going to keep back in mind.
Absolutely.
Okay.
I'll be getting quotes from engineering companies when it comes time for budget research.
Right.
And you're gonna be getting a quote from Claude Darling, like the heat in the arena.
Yeah, just to put that into perspective for you, the heat in the arena from day one of that new system being installed was never adequate, so I understand. This building was spec'd out for 1.5 million BTUs. The arena is currently running at 800,000 BTUs, so it's way undersized. So when the building is in full use with a tournament, showers being used, filling the Olympia, so on, all of a sudden your hallway's cold, or you're getting complaints that the showers are no longer hot. It's because we've tapped out on the BTUs. It's a simple, easy fix. It doesn't have to be done today, but I will start doing the research, getting some quotes, and it's as simple as just adding another boiler that will actually save us propane in the long run because the two boilers that are there will not be working as hard. So they assure me that we certainly would not be burning any more propane. It would level out and actually save us. And we'll get more BTUs.
And less wear and tear on those two boilers.
Absolutely, yeah,
That makes sense.
So it has been an ongoing problem then, Tim.
yes.
And if we expect to see something, it's probably going to hit the 2023 budget.
I will certainly have numbers to
then.
submit for there, and then we can talk about it for sure.
And the municipal complex? For the-
We're moving along. We've got a little bit of a delay. We're waiting for Superior Propane. They have not yet given me a second date to expect the propane tank. They didn't meet their first date that they gave us. They said that the crane truck broke down. So we're patiently waiting for that. I am in contact with them about every 2 days to follow up. Cloud Darling has, I understand, gone back to Thunder Bay this week because they're having trouble getting parts delivered. So it's just faster for them to go and get the parts themselves than depend on deliveries at this point. But we're still pretty much on track. He's making some great progress in there. He's got a lot of the piping moved and hot water tank moved now. So the boilers are actually in place. And he's just waiting on a couple parts for his piping to continue.
So there is actual work being done while we're waiting for this new crane truck?
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, yes, for sure.
Okay.
For sure. Yeah.
I walked down and looked in the furnace room tonight, and it looks there.
Very
looks good.
different.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So,
And if everything goes according to their plan and they don't have any other issues pop up, he does believe that he'll be able to get one boiler online with propane And that'll maintain the building long enough for them to to get rid of the old oil furnace and to get the second boiler installed. So it may work out, barring any issues.
So one other question on the aqua part of it. Marlene, the dirty power, that was just an anomaly, or is that something that may happen again? Do you have an update on that?
Automation Now did a bunch of tests. They could not duplicate the issue. So we believe it was a one-off. But if it does happen again, they are paying very close attention to the situation and will call Hydro if we do have any other issues arise.
Thanks.
Okay, number 3, finance and special projects and resilience community funds draft.
This was the first application that Kim has put together, and I know Kim has joined us here today in case there are any questions. What we've been anticipating here in conversations with council members is that there is an interest in doing a strategic plan. I can tell you in terms of organization strategic value, it is of course very strategic that we do this, especially as we look towards having some sort of guideline for our budgeting, and especially when it comes to prioritizing what direction we want to go. The approach we've taken here with this OTF grant is we did run a number of projects with the OTF grant coordinator on their side, and we looked at different capital projects. We did try to look at a pavilion, and what we found out, they were looking at some recreational infrastructure, maybe a possibility, but it can't be capital. Is that correct?
So no capital projects
Yep.
and everything non-fixed items only.
Okay. And we did run by the ideas between the pavilion and potentially a strategic plan. They highly recommended that we follow through with the application for a strategic plan. Anything you want to add to that, Kim?
Just within regards to the timeline of the 10-year strategic plan, I have been in contact with 4 different firms, and they have all, I asked them between 5, 10 to 20 year, and they all highly recommended a 10-year plan. Because we are a small municipality, it allows us to reach our goals with a small budget. Gives you enough time to be where you want to be. 5 years is just a little too short, they have said.
My only concern, Kim, with that comes from a former funding experience.
Yeah.
Industry standard for municipalities is 5 years. And the only reason for that is if you take a look, if we're working at starting to work behind a strategic plan in 2023, and listen, this is like, to me, one of the highest priorities to do this plan. And you get it finished by 2023, the 5 years then would take you then past this current term of council into the next. Not a huge issue with 5 years, but in 10 years, from a funder standpoint, from someone who's going to fund this for you, now you're into a second council term after that. And it becomes a little unwieldy, where we've had a lot of experience where now 6 years or 8 years down the road, we've got councils saying, well, we knew this plan was supposed to be for 10, but now we need new funding because it's fallen out of date, or these are not currently priorities that we're still interested in. So that's the only thing I would hazard against a 10-year, is that from a funder's perspective, it can be not today,
Yeah.
but in maybe not even the next council term, or this council term, but certainly the next council term will become an issue. And then it's hard to go back and get funding to update it. So that's my only concern with the 10-year. that might be too long, and it is outside industry standard, that's all I'm gonna say about that, but I think going to OTF, if they'll fund it, I think that's awesome.
Yeah. With COVID being kind of part of this as well, they said, you know, like if you do a 10-year plan and you lose 2 years like we did with COVID, I think it's just a different norm now. And that's why they're kind of pushing this, because this grant is so focused on the recovery from COVID.
Mhm.
So just in
Right.
case, right?
Yeah.
In the post-pandemic era.
Just want to confirm, in terms of the scope of this, nothing has
No.
been
Right.
cemented in stone. We will be trying to develop the project as well. I mean, the timeline now that we're trying to aim for is to try to get a application in place in order to, when's the deadline?
December
7th.
7th.
In order to meet that deadline, and certainly we'll try to hear back from the grant coordinator there to see how we can twist this to work best with a scope that works for them as well, and for their grant eligibility, and go from there. But if we're fortunate enough to get this, and it will certainly help us out quite a bit. I don't know if you've got any idea for pricing yet, Kim?
No, I have not received
Nothing.
any quotes, not yet. But they all know that December 2nd, they need to have their quotes submitted to me because I want to have this in by December 5th.
I imagine it may be a wide range of numbers that
Yeah.
you may anticipate, depending on the firm.
And they all have a little bit different standards of timelines of how quickly they do it as well, so.
And again, this is one proposal. Our hopes are to be looking out for grants, and if this one doesn't go through, we'll certainly try to find other ones that come by and put in applications for those as well. Okay?
Okay, thanks. Senior Program Coordinators Report, number 4.
Yeah, I can report on that. So we had a meeting today, but this report's for October, so it says people are slowly coming back and enjoying the activities available. I can run down some of them. The BON stretch program slowed down over the summer, but numbers have been improving with the colder weather. Instead of using the gym, they're using Room 124 account of lack of heat in the gym. But that doesn't slow down the floor curling program because very well attended and great captain. And they say once you start playing, you don't feel cold. But I mean, people curl in cold weather all the time, right? So pickleball is kind of slow. That's not really moving along the way it was pre-COVID. Swedish weaving is well attended. Rivoli, every Thursday they're having good turnout for that. I hear they're having a blast, and staff can hear them playing down the hall, and so that's great. The garlic program was successful. You plant garlic at the end of October and harvest in August. I never knew that could happen, but apparently it does. So right now, the latest or the things that we're working on right now is the Christmas party on December 6th. So funds remaining in the budget will be used, as well as some of the barbecue funds, funding that was raised over the summer. Membership at the end of the year, end of October, 388 members. Unbelievable. And the funding drive has started in November, so everybody can get out and renew their membership. So that's it.
Anybody got any questions for Dan? If not, we'll give Fire Department activity reports September and October.
I got a couple of questions.
So go ahead. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
You want to start on it?
I just, the call volumes. Jan, you've got call volumes here for 2022 and calls by location 2022. Just a curiosity kind of a question. Do you have the same kind of charts for 2021?
I do.
So are your call volumes up or down or the same?
The call volumes, I've actually got a 20-year chart that we update every year or two.
Okay,
20 years ago, we were doing 36 to 40 calls a year. The last 2 years, we're doing 100 to 110 calls a year. So it's going up.
so it's going up, okay. The SCBA units passed testing, but there were significant repair costs to some of the units. So those repairs have been completed, yes?
They are, yes, they're complete.
And the invoicing is in?
Yes, it is.
Okay. So with that, you're still under budget.
Maybe on the overall budget, yes.
Yeah, okay.
I believe that particular line item did go over though,
Okay,
because of just what I had assumed the repair costs were going to be last year.
okay. And the wilderness rescue equipment. So this is ongoing for 3 years. Is this a new line item for the fire department?
No, I would say that it's an update. What we started Wilderness Rescue when we bought the first Skidoo and that orange rescue trailer back in 1997. After that, we brought in the quad runner for summertime and the trailer for it. And what we've found though is since the hiking club has come along with the Castle Isle Trail, a lot of their trail system is not quad runner friendly. You know, you're lucky it's boot friendly in some places, especially where you got to climb ladders. So what this is bringing in equipment to hand carry people out of the bush, and that's what we're doing here. Is been picking up that sort of rope rescue equipment, high angle equipment, specialized lifting equipment to get people out of the bush.
Have you involved the hiking club in the planning process?
We've talked to them. I've talked to them a couple of times just on ideas as to what would work, but that is the extent of it so far.
Okay, they may be a good resource for you.
Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah, so I just wanted to piggyback on you, Andrew.
Yeah,
Go
that's
ahead.
fine.
Go ahead.
Prevention, public education, we visited the community room and early childhood rooms at Pace Platte Business Center to install new smoke alarms and COs. Public education, do you guys have like a calendar, Jan, where you go up to certain groups at certain times of the year?
We do have a calendar, and there are certain things that we try to do every year.
Okay,
I think one of my biggest challenges there is that everybody that does that sort of work's a volunteer.
right.
So it is hit and miss as to whether we make it that year.
Okay. And training. So FireCon 2022, I'm just not up to date. When was that in Thunder Bay?
The FireCon event in Thunder Bay is always the second week of September.
Second week of September. Okay. And so now yourself and one other attended and allowing you to be signed off, so now you can teach this course.
That's correct, yeah.
Awesome. Okay. That's all I had. Sorry.
Okay.
Did you hear questions, Dan?
Yeah, the fuel costs for the landfill fire,
Yes.
under $2,000, and food and whatever else was brought out there. Are those costs shared under the mutual aid agreement?
Well, just to address the fuel costs for that first, that is nearly the entire fuel budget for the year in a span of 3 days there. We budgeted $2,300 and we spent $2,000 just that weekend. Now, of course, some of that was the war in Europe, of course, affected prices back in March. And when we set this budget back in December, we had no idea that would be the effect. As far as the landfill goes, my understanding is that there is some sort of cost-sharing agreement with Terrace Bay. So in discussion with Marlene, we thought that, for instance, the food and some of the costs could be billed at 50% to Terrace Bay. As far as the fuel that we spent, like there was also a marathon truck here. We did bill that 100% back to Terrace Bay
Okay,
because that was at their request.
okay. So another question is for the water treatment plant, and while you're fighting this fire, I know the protocol is to call the operators and let them know you need more water because you're fighting the fire. It was at 83% capacity, so I don't know how much water you used that day, but did anybody, was there any idea of what the tower was at after you were finished?
Fortunately, I don't. I have emailed them twice and gotten no response.
Okay.
So that is something I was trying to find out because we had a starting figure that we got from the operator on call that morning of the towers at 83%. If we knew what it was at the end, we'd know how many gallons we used.
Yeah,
and
it'd be
of course,
interesting for sure.
we would also know that the cost per gallon to treat that water and what it costs to put that water on the dome.
Yeah.
The levels aren't trended in any way, like it's just.
They chart them, yes.
No, because I know the amount of water you guys dumped on that fire, and that's good that there was no issues at all with that. Like, I mean, and there shouldn't be. But I mean, till you dump that amount of water and everything, and you're drawing from it, and you don't know. So I was happy to read that. And like you say, it'd be nicer to see what you got down to 48% or 40, but.
Yes, and that could help with cost recovery, like I said, if we had the exact gallonage. Because then we could figure out the cost of treating that volume of water and look at 50% recovery.
So if this fire went on for a few days, like, did the operators open the valve up to keep pumping water up there? Or? I mean, normally it's done at night when it's cheaper, pump water. Into the
Yeah,
house.
and then again, you gotta watch how much you pump up. You gotta watch your Tammy. More about it
Yeah.
than me.
Well, when you've got, it all depends on what kind of condition your source water is when it's coming out of the dam. That's really going to depend on how fast you can make water. And when I say make water, I mean, going through the stages of treatment before it's pumped up to the tank. I will have a conversation with you to find out exactly the window that you're looking at, and I can probably get that information easy enough.
Perfect.
Okay, great.
That's perfect, yeah.
If I could add to, if we ever got to a point during a fire that we were down or the operator called and said, geez, we've only got 8% remaining in this tank, we would switch sources. We'd go find a lake.
Yeah, makes
Yeah.
sense. Okay.
And then make sure that we protected the drinking water system.
Yeah.
Okay. Just a couple more. The fire permits are expired October 31st, so if anybody wants to burn, they have to get a new permit?
We currently have a summer and a winter permit system. And a couple months back, I put in a report saying we're looking at changing that.
Okay.
And what we're looking at is a 12-month or good for all year type permit.
Would the cost be the same, or
Be
would
the
it be
same.
doubled, or
It would be the same price.
same price for the whole year?
So if you were in the rare category, very few people get winter permits. If you were in the category that you had a summer and a winter one, then it would, of course, cut your cost in half. But
Okay. So congratulations, you're re-elected to Board of Directors in September.
that's
So-
correct, yes. So
That keeps you a little busier than.
it does, yes.
Yeah. Okay. So what is your role there?
The board is the oversight body that puts on the FireCon event.
Okay.
So I take the role of board secretary.
Okay. That's all I have.
I take it you're done with all the fence installation now too, eh?
That is complete for this year.
Just gotta
yes.
leave next year.
Yeah, there will be a small portion at the back next year, and we're gonna look at yard lighting for next year.
Good. Okay, thanks, Jan. Number 6, the November 8th, Occupational Health Safety Committee meeting.
I just want to say the monthly workspace inspections and the annual workplace inspections, you guys are working really hard on that. The fire safety plan, I've actually been involved in doing one of these. Congratulations. That's a lot of work. Like, I think that's a great job by everybody involved, and I'm sure it's probably all the staff at getting that completed. That is huge. That's really huge. And it looks like you're moving ahead on everything. There doesn't seem to be that. There's a whole bunch even outstanding.
Okay, that does it for the reports. Move into communications.
For number 2, I don't know if I'm not reading the response correctly, but so are they coming up with criteria and then we put in a proposal, or are they coming up with a decision and then telling us?
It's not really clear,
Okay.
but it looks like, I think they're gonna be.
That was my original interpretation, but then I thought, well, are they giving us a list of, why would they use the word criteria? Like, that doesn't make sense.
At any point, because I don't know
Okay.
what's happening behind closed doors. I have no
I see.
idea. No one knows besides them, right? So I thought I'd just ask a question and say, how are things going, right? So I can provide an update to council here. And basically, they said they're looking at collecting their data, and as for how they're going to make that decision is still very closely guarded. It may be that they're going to do a proposal. It may be that they say this is what they've
Okay.
decided.
Okay. I've just didn't want to be the only one confused. Sorry.
I'm glad you're asking, though. Super glad you're we're staying on top of that whole
Yeah.
EMS issue, yeah.
A couple thank you cards there.
So this number 5 is the one I had mentioned earlier.
Yeah.
So CN is pushing back on maintenance on municipal drainage systems. And I don't see it, we don't have CN here, but I mean, they would be
I asked the
probably
same. Yeah.
along the same, their thinking would probably be along the same line, so.
So-
It's like-
So
Something-
do we foresee that CP Rail would push back, considering that they own part of this?
I mean, it is hard to say. I mean, the infrastructure right now seems to be in good shape. If it ever failed, I'm not sure how it would all play out when it came to money and making the repairs. I am in the process of studying the Drainage Act so that I can better understand the implications of that.
Yeah,
So I found the Drainage Act, I've got it printed off, I've been in the process of reading it, but it's quite large.
yeah. According to the province, they are responsible.
Yeah.
But, I mean, the least we could do is support this
Mm-hmm.
resolution and see where it goes.
But yeah, it certainly raised, I know, some questions about because we had thought you were right, because it was earlier on the agenda and where it's like, okay. So I'm with Dan. I would support that. They're asking for a letter of support. I would support that. I don't know how you guys feel.
Sure, absolutely.
And then there's this, Bill 23. Nathan, maybe you can, so this was a whole package of information that was sent, and it's all in regards to housing and some of the Bill 23 proposed changes by the Ontario government. So maybe you can, in a nutshell, tell me where we're at, because there's so much work that, I'll let you speak to that.
It's a tremendous amount of changes that we're looking at that. I know that I've now looked at multiple correspondence from some planning law firms that are sort of summarizing the changes that are needed. There are some areas where, again, they're talking about, I mean, and it's all kinds of things. You're looking at conservation authorities, streamlining aggregate applications. It's all over the place.
It is.
So this kind of overhaul, of course, has a big impact. And right now, I'm trying to figure out of all the changes that are happening, what is going to be the impact on the township.
Right.
So myself and the planner are still working on that, and this is going to be again one of those things where we look at all the data of what's changed there and what actually impacts us and what changes we need to make based on changes to this. Again, I don't know what may end up actually going through because a lot of municipalities are opposing a lot of these new changes, so let's see what the province may come up with. And of course, things like this always changes, as you may know. At one point, even when we're dealing with the OMB, change into the OLA and the OLT. So between impacts on the Planning Act, I really don't know what the final outcome will be from all of this, but I do hope that municipalities will be able to still have some say in development, and I think that's certainly very important. Though for cities, this is a huge, huge impact for them.
But it's something for us to keep an eye on too, right?
Yep.
So your thoughts about support, like, they're asking for, just a second, they're asking for request for resolution support from this township. I don't know how to say that name, sorry.
Hustlinch?
Hustlinch?
It's near Waterloo. in Kitchener.
Okay. Is this general enough in nature that we should be supporting this?
From
It looks fairly, like the first page looks fairly general.
From a perspective of this, I think the main concern from a lot of municipalities is again the eroding say from councils on with regard to development. And what's happening, right, is the province is trying to streamline development as much as they can on the basis that they're saying less red tape is good for business. But again, less red tape means there's less community say when it comes to these development applications. And I think it caught a lot of people off guard. We still don't know what the political ramifications are, even when you're looking at these 3 units per single family household now, right? And I don't know what that may end up being in terms of the impact when people go back to vote eventually.
Right.
So it's on the basis, you may look at it from that perspective and see that this bill is eroding the some of the authority of council when it comes to development, and on that basis, you may look at wanting to support it. On the other basis, it's a lot of change that was put forward really quickly without not a lot of consultation. And again, these small changes in legislation have a huge impact on especially smaller municipalities. Fortunately, we don't have any nearby conservation authorities and all that are impacting us. But so, depending on how you want to look at it, that may be the basis alone.
I don't think we
We're
need
shaking
to
heads.
support it tonight, or
Yeah, we can think about it.
okay, there's no more talk and communications and Move on to unfinished business, the updated township Christmas social planner.
We're trying to finalize everything real quick. We're running out of time here. Just in conversations with our temporary rec programmer, was told that it is that we should be able to get the costs updated for our next meeting on Tuesday. So hopefully that should be all filled in. We're just putting together the last of the remaining work. Tammy, is there anything else you want to add to that?
No, I mean, it's progressing as it should. We're getting quotes. We got our decorations lined up, and it's just a matter of making the numbers work, but I think we're in good shape, actually.
Okay. No more questions on that one? We'll go into the enrollment.
We have essentially 3 hotels booked.
3 hotel rooms.
Hotel rooms. My pardon.
At these prices, we're not all going.
What we need decided is who exactly is going. Of course, the dates are January 22nd, 24th.
No, you probably can't go.
Tough.
Yeah, it'll be
Tough for you to go.
Okay, so it'll be Nathan and myself going, so it'll be up to you guys.
Yeah, I mean, I've been there, you may wanna go.
I've ran them and done all the briefing notes. Maybe you should go. Oof. Dave.
Dave,
That work.
you wanna go, or you don't, or you can't go, or you'd rather not? You'd rather
For this first one, I just I think the session topics. I mean, rural housing development, local impacts of railways, senior friendly communities, succession management, big one. I know for our organization. I could go, but I just kind of think it might be smarter for the township of Schreiber to have someone who been on council last year and is maybe more up on the different items than I am. I would hate to go and think that I should have known more before I went.
Yeah, okay. I could go.
That's just my only fear. I would think someone who knows more should go.
Hopefully. So we were gonna talk about our delegations too, at this, you wanna talk about it now or later? Talked a little bit about it last meeting. I think we nailed it down pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, I'm thinking again, we'll do Oxford Power, and we also looking at the idea again for a decor. Sure, they'll try to
Yeah.
pass it off again.
Yeah, we gotta talk about that detour again. We gotta talk about it until they give.
Until they give money, and that's the thing is, if the province doesn't want to allocate it, if they want to work with the feds to help us get this money.
Yeah.
Either way,
And I think housing is a big thing that we
Yep.
should try to get
yeah,
an audience with the minister and
we've
Yeah.
done that before too.
see.
Yeah.
No, it's huge. It's the hugest thing, really.
Yeah.
It's housing and see what we.
And there's 3, so.
That's good.
I was thinking,
That's good.
I think so.
I was thinking, recreation and culture too. I don't know if they're be money for, the pavilion downtown that way. At the end, I'm looking at, they give out money at the end of, the COVID for, just, gathering, say, like for people to gather and all that. Like maybe, when do we have to, I should have read up on it a little.
On the 20th. So what I have to do is I have to prepare the packages and
Yeah.
do write-ups on it and send it to the province, so.
And then
think
they,
too
yeah,
many.
they send it to, they send it to staff and
Yeah.
goes back and prepares
Yeah.
all the briefing notes.
And then they asked me, for the recreation one, it's, there's quite a bit of grants that we could actually apply for that, so I'm thinking I won't have an issue finding a suitable grant for that pavilion. My biggest challenge really is with this, decor. The biggest issue I'm
Oh.
facing is because I'm trying to put the application into a grant for environmental friendliness, whatever. The problem is because of the UV lamps, it's actually increasing the energy output,
Yeah.
even though it's getting rid of the chlorine in the water. So it's from the perspective of energy efficiency grants, it's not fitting in well because it's increasing the energy that we're consuming. So finding the right thing, it's almost like I need a grant that's dedicated towards water quality would be perfect. And you know, the thing is with the funding streams, they kind of cycle through things each year. And we were, again, fortunate in getting that ICIP Green Stream grant when we applied for the distribution for the Ontario Street reline, right? So that, you know, we were fortunate in that regard. But again, they were very specific. They said it's only going to be for distribution, drinking water. Those were all the applications you could put in. So if and they get so many applications where if your project doesn't meet the very particular scope they're looking at,
It's easy to say no. It just makes it very easy to say
just
no.
throw it out. So that's just a bit of a challenge. And we've been looking. We subscribe to a grant inventory, so we get all the grants that are out there, private, public. Take a look and see what's there and if it's a good fit for us.
So then the package you present to the infrastructure minister, is there another minister that you could present the exact same thing that could tie
Yeah.
in somehow?
Yeah, I mean,
Like an energy one or the health one, or I don't know, like anything.
yeah, like we've tried mostly with if you try to do another ministry, they'll send it to the one that they think is most relevant.
Okay.
So even if I send it to,
Infrastructure or.
well, I send it
environment.
to environment, then they send it to infrastructure. This is what happened in the past. They send it to environment, they send it to infrastructure, infrastructure send it back to environment, environment send it back to them again.
Okay.
It went all around the place. No one wanted to
Right.
deal with it. That's just a bit of how it works.
Okay. Yeah, I just felt like when I was at the one conference, we gave the same spiel to two different ministers about the issues at the time or whatever. Okay.
Did that work?
No, God. No.
Yeah, but it never, I don't think it's but I don't think it's hurtful to
No.
ever stop talking about it. I think it's,
No.
yeah, it's like what they want us to do.
It gives them an idea, at least in the back of their mind, and you know, and again, sometimes the concerns of small towns may escape their minds when, especially they're dealing with the city, which seems to have a lot more seats, right? So.
Okay.
So I'll do those three.
I got about 6 more.
You're gonna have lots of briefings, you know.
Yeah, do that.
And thanks, Dan, for going. I just,
Yeah.
for this one, I really think they need knowledge more, honestly.
Okay, so that's covers, go on to other business then. Your council appointments for 2023. You should have that form in front of you. Taking no questions. Yes, Dave.
I asked Benji earlier, if it would be okay, I took the youth committee when he can just sit on the rec and festivals committee. 'Cause I was on the youth committee, but then COVID happened, so we haven't got to meet or do anything. It's up to you though.
No, I guess we can do that.
That's good with me.
You guys are okay? with it?
Thanks.
So, we're Schreiber Youth?
It'd be me, and then Benji would just be rec and festivals. No slash. Just Benji.
That one would be good to have a second too.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
We want that.
What, the youth?
The rec. Because they won't be on the rec, so it'll just be Benji and that alone.
Is that, anybody else want to be on the
Especially since it
Recreation
meets with the-
Festivals Committee?
Mayor, you'd like 2 people on that committee?
Yeah.
Because,
It meets on a
It's-
pretty frequent basis, so just in case someone couldn't, one of the members of council can't be on there, at least you'll have a second
Well, you
one.
can keep the slash then if I don't have to go to every meeting. I'm good with that.
that's,
But it's like the fill-in, if Benji can't go, I'm okay with that. Is that okay?
Yeah,
But I'm not going to every rec meeting.
but you'll be,
But I'll be the stand-in for Benji, yeah.
and if something comes, the
Yeah.
committee gets busy, then,
Sure.
okay, put you back there.
Then all hands on deck.
Yeah, I mean, then it's everyone.
I mean, yeah, it's in minutes.
Okay.
I think something maybe we could talk about later, that I've been assigned deputy mayor. Personally, I also like the idea of, some councils rotate that role amongst councillors, like every councillor has a year to hold it. If you guys wouldn't, and I know I've mentioned this to you, if it was something that you'd be open to, that would be something, like, we don't have to do it today, but something I'd like to discuss in the future, if you guys would be interested in doing that.
Yeah, I don't,
I think the additional exposure is probably not a bad thing.
Well, we can,
But we could talk about, that's not a thing today, I know, but I just wanted to mention that
can we do the,
I
like,
don't need
look
to
at
own
it
that.
yearly?
Mm-hmm.
As far as it goes, it's,
Like, I mean, I think we looked at it yearly with Dave,
Yeah.
and,
Mhm.
but we pretty much stayed where we were.
Yeah.
But I mean,
the past tradition was based on you put the number of council with the most votes, essentially.
you would, and that's what we're doing. That's what we're
Yeah.
doing here to start off with.
Yeah, I'm just saying I don't have to own it. If there was some interest, I think that's a good
Yeah.
idea.
She's not,
Yeah, I think if we wanted to rotate it later, I thought that was just, why not?
but if you're doing a bang-up job,
And now these council appointments will be published on the website this week?
Yeah, I mean, if everyone is comfortable with where they are, I don't see why we can't get it out there. And if you're okay with all these committees, then what we'll be doing is just again a call for applications again, and be appointing people. Call for application, very simple. Honestly, just a letter of interest. Fine with that.
do we have a minimum number of members that need to be on a committee to make it a committee?
Technically,
If I'm-
yeah, technically, we're looking at having that kind of a quorum to be filled with members of the public. That being said, some committees, for example, recreation and festivals, are far below that threshold. I think at one point, we just had one member of the public essentially kind
I
of
was gonna
sitting
say,
on
there's
it.
more staff than public at some of those meetings.
Yeah.
Looking at the minutes, right?
The the challenge again is, utilizing the resources also, well, right? Because it does take staff time, staff have to be present for meetings, and, you're gonna be paying staff to be available at those meetings, you're gonna be paying staff to do the minutes and all of the administration in those meetings, so, if there's not enough of a quorum, that may be something that, you may wanna keep in mind.
Yeah, I don't know how anyone else is feeling, but like a committee of one or two members of the public,
Yeah.
I don't know if it's, not like it's good, but I don't wanna say it's bad, I don't know if it's worth it.
Well, maybe we can review it moving forward.
Yeah.
Maybe it's time, you're talking about asking for interest. Maybe it's time to see how many are on each committee and then put out a general, hey, we've got, I just saw one from another community.
Yep.
We would like volunteers. Here's the community.
Yeah, I've talked to, I know 3 different people. I know one's put their name forward now, but I've talked to 3 different people and they said they're gonna put their names forward.
Yeah, that's great.
Like new people.
Yeah, so hopefully we don't have that discussion.
Hopefully we get all the ones that are on the committees now back. And,
Yeah.
we get new.
And then my only other suggestion, when you put out that, I would also say to advertise, like, if you don't wanna commit to a committee, would you just wanna volunteer and we could put your name on a list?
Yeah,
And if
exactly.
people wanna just
That's a
do
great
that
idea.
without saying like, no, I don't wanna meet once a month to talk about things,
Yeah.
I just wanna get called to bartend.
Sure.
Like, that would be sweet, to have that list of people,
Yep.
so it's not a scramble every
Yep.
time we're doing something.
Yep, and,
It's not a bad idea.
I tried to.
Because
I tried to-
the idea of the committee is
Yeah.
it's intimidating to some people, and maybe they just wanna help out.
Absolutely, and years ago, again, we put in volunteer terms of reference. Part of that was, again, to have an application put in, looking at the system of how our governance was, again, it was done very informally, so we formalized that process, but maintaining it was really a challenge because it has to be maintained and we need to get a log of essentially have all those applications put into essentially a spreadsheet, and I think maintaining it sort of just fell apart from that standpoint. So I'm trying to relook at it and seeing what is feasible for us with the level of resources we have in order to keep track. I don't want it to be a overly burdensome bureaucratic procedure in order to do it, but there's also a certain level of training that is required depending on the nature of where people are volunteering in. I need to look sometimes at whether I need to actually insure them based on the work they're doing, and also background checks depending on the area in which they're volunteering in. If it's going to be volunteering where they're going to be working with kids or with seniors, at that point I need to get a vulnerable sector check, right? So.
Well, I mean, I think it's important too, it's respectful to say to people, we know you sat on this committee, are you still interested?
Yep.
I mean, it's respectful just to say, right? Not just assume, but just actually say, yeah. I think that's very respectful.
And then we passed a resolution to run it from such and such a date to such and such a date, and that's why we gotta do it.
Sure.
That's just so they understand, we're not just doing it just to do it.
No, yes. But as far as the assignments go, as far as I'm concerned personally, I'm good with all of the assignments.
Good.
Yep.
Definitely.
Okay.
She wasn't taking no for an answer.
So for next steps, I guess I'll work with staff and putting a call out again to all these committees, and we'll definitely let the incumbents know. Again, the fortunate thing with a lot of the incumbents is, especially on whether it's the senior center committee, they've done already those background checks and training and a lot of that. So hopefully, right?
They all want to stay on, right? Yeah, exactly.
It's easy to stay on once you already have all of that bureaucratic elements completed.
So all committees are still in place until year end,
November 30th.
November, yeah.
November 30th, and then when will they be fired up again? Approximately.
You know, in December's a difficult month
So in the new
because
year, so in the new year.
in the new year, because in reality, a lot of staff are going to be going on vacation in the last 2 months of December. So, and a lot of, what do you say, committee members themselves may not be available during that time due to travel, or it's a busy month, right? So
They,
probably January.
they can still, like, I mean, beautification committee's still gonna function, because they're gonna do the light up the night and that.
Right.
But they're not doing, like, we won't have the meeting.
Okay.
Yeah. Annual training, number 2.
I think, Anne Marie, you and.
New counselor training, I'm open and any date will work, whatever works for anybody else who wants to come in. And I would suggest we come here to take it and it's just the one fee. But whatever, my schedule for the New Year's so far is open, so any date will work for me. We just need to figure it out, and I don't know.
Sure.
I don't know, Dave and Dan, if either of you are interested.
I am.
Okay, so then we can work out these details, yeah, and let Nathan know. But so for me, any date works. I don't know what your schedule is like.
Yeah.
Yours is probably full already.
No.
Well, no, you've got a lot of councils. But I'm just saying, like, you guys pick a date and you tell me what it
Yeah.
is, and I'll go.
For anyone who is interested, if you can just send that email to myself and
Mhm.
Cecile, when do we need it by? Deadline? You didn't really say? I think it's first come,
No,
first served.
They've been each coming up on the
Okay.
emo site, and then it's click here to register, so.
Yeah, like Mayor Months is a different date, but we've got several dates from starting January 5th and ending April 17th, so. Because we've got for the new counselor training, it says a huge range.
Yep.
But you want us to email Nathan, sorry, and Cecile, okay?
There's only one date there that'll work for me, and that's December 19th, and that ain't happening.
Okay.
Yeah, we're good with that. Residential Christmas decorating. I don't know how everybody feels like Dave and Dan.
I like the idea of giving prizes for Christmas decorating, but this is just who I am. I would much prefer a competition where you have like 3 winners and the prizes are larger, but that's just me.
I agree, 20.
Yeah, I was gonna say, it's hard to pick 20. 20's a lot.
Yeah.
Well, we've done it three
Yeah.
3 or 4 years in a row now, and you're driving down the street and you're flipping a coin now.
Yeah.
You don't want, it's tougher, so I don't mind going back to, whatever criteria, but we gotta pick a criteria, the best, or the most red lights, or whatever.
I was just gonna suggest go from 20 to 10, like the best 10.
With the same prize?
I don't know, that's up for whatever, yeah.
Yeah,
Just wanna change that.
I was along the same line, reduce it by probably half, and also, which would create more competition, to your point.
Mhm.
So the prize could stay the same I don't think it's all about the prize, it's about
No, it's about the
competition.
Were you saying the price stay the same at 25, or the price stay the same, so 10 would be getting
At
50?
50.
Is that what you're saying?
Well, either or.
I don't
It's not a
really
biggie.
I mean, we don't wanna, it's gonna cost more because of, giving no gift cards. It's more this year, right?
Yeah, there's an activation fee with the gift cards.
So if we made it, I don't know,
That's
a little less than 50.
Nathan, just a question, do we have to give out gift card? Can we, when we won the 1 year in Terrace Bay, we got a check. My husband framed it. He was pretty happy. Like, do you have to use gift cards? Can you not handle checks? Or is there some reason that you don't do that?
We could do that as well. There's no,
You could, it wouldn't be as immediate, so if it is how they've been handling them out before, it was that you did a tour and then you dropped them off that night. So what you would need, I would say that it's probably more efficient to do the gift cards from a process standpoint. So when you do the check, you're gonna need the person's name, address, all that kind of stuff. So if it's, I mean, most people, you know who they are, right? Because you could have a tenant in the property. And then it comes down to inputting a new vendor in your system. You've got the cost of entering the information, you've got the cost of printing the check, the cost of the envelope, the cost of, like, it's all after the fact.
So
three
it's-
prizes.
It's not, it's three, so it's not less expensive? Like, it's just because these fees for these cards have come up a couple of times. So is it, I'm
I
just
think on
concerned about
average-
expense.
I think on average, I think it's $5 to do the activation fee.
$5.95.
Per card?
Yep.
Per card. So if you have to write a check, is it $5.95 a check?
I would say,
Just cheap old
considering
me.
it's cheaper to do to buy the gift card.
Yeah, because you gotta pay for her time to do all that stuff.
Okay,
To do
okay,
that, right?
And
Okay.
then it's delayed, right?
Yeah.
right.
So then, what you just said, we didn't do that because of COVID. We didn't hand them out immediately.
Last year we mailed them. Last
Yeah.
2 years
Yeah.
we've mailed
Yeah,
them.
so are we, because then we would discuss, because when we did the handout thing, we all were in one vehicle.
Yeah, we're in the fire truck.
Yeah. And I don't wanna do that. I'd rather
So the
discuss it.
last 2 years, councils handed in their list, and then we
Yeah.
based it on common names on the list.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we're gonna do
And,
that.
and mailed out the awards.
Yeah, that works.
Okay.
Less cognac, but
I like that.
So what dollar value do you want the prizes to be then?
What do you think? Can you cut it in half, but keep the same budget? Cut it in half, drop the budget?
$25 is nice. I honestly don't care.
yeah, that,
I-
10 prizes, $25.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, I think that's.
Benji?
Yeah.
Okay, meeting schedule. Special council meeting on the 29th of this month.
yeah. Sorry, guys.
Are
Every
you really
Tuesday.
though?
Yes, you know,
This one.
Email my wife.
yeah, this one is gonna be another important one, so I promise I'll keep them short in December.
Them? Is that plural?
Them? That's what I was just gonna
There's
say.
gonna be one in December, and
It.
Well, there's,
potential second one, because we always towards the end, we end up requiring to get our insurance, right?
that's
So.
there's more than one Tuesday in December.
I'm not making promises, but I'm gonna try.
Okay.
So, did you want to discuss anything on the 29th, or that's just it?
Yeah, I mean, it's mostly gonna be a closed session, meeting on the 29th. We're gonna be getting, our lawyer to visit and, discuss, some of our legal matters.
Okay.
In person.
Okay, that's the end of the other business. That's the end of the open session. Sorry, we didn't have no add-ons in. So resolution,
You skipped one there, right?
pardon me,
You skipped one on your list, eh?
did I?
On your pink list? You skipped a number?
Oh, I did.
So you're at
So this is-
324.
So I'm at 324?
Yeah.
Fix that other one up then. Resolution 324,
You should get some.
Yeah, the other ones are good.
Yeah.
okay. Moved by Council McGrath, seconded by Council Morrow, that the closed meeting resume at this time. All those in favor?